7 words gentlemen use to frame the perfect relationship. Let's talk about it. What's up, folks? Grandison Shines here with the League of Prestigious Gentlemen. In today's video, we are going to be talking about 7 very powerful words that are already in your vocabulary, caveat number 1. And what we're going to do is discuss how these words are to be utilized in the conversation regarding structuring your relationship. Now, every gentleman has an opportunity to facilitate this conversation, and he well should before he aligns himself with his young lady or significant other. Yes, we have relationship with men too, business partners, we have relationship with friends. That's a totally different conversation. This one is very much so centered in having a relationship and having a strong foundation set from the beginning by talking about certain difficult conversations that we must have. And in these difficult conversations, you're going to utilize the words I'm going to show you today. Before we dive into the content, let me show you what we do here at the League of Prestigious Gentlemen. If you are ready to become the man who can be trusted to lead himself, every man must grow, evolve into that opportunity. So what we do is we help you develop the standards, the skill, and the self-leadership required to become a purpose-driven gentleman who succeeds in these 3 major areas: the personal area, the professional area, and the social area, which represents the 12 pillars of life. Talking about the 12 pillars of life, here is where a gentleman should have success in these 12 areas. These 12 areas will never, ever, ever go away as long as you are living upon this earth. And today we're going to be having an establishment in our conversation from the 4 that are on the right side. The second one in, emotionally intelligent relationships. We have to have relationships that are built on a strong foundation. So that's what we're going to cover today. 7, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 powerful words that can be utilized in a conversation. Warning, fair warning, this will elevate the level of assertiveness and seriousness in your conversation. But that is all well and good. Why? Because you want to have this conversation be taken seriously by you and your significant other. Wherever you decide to sit down with, and sit down right beside the person, grab their hand or put your hand on their leg or whoever you're talking to, this is going to be one of the most important conversations that you can ever have. So I suggest practicing the conversation 1, and we'll be giving you some information here. And then I also have information for you to download so that you can see how this conversation would sound if you held the conversation yourself. Now, you don't have to have the exact conversation, but I'm presenting to you a very, very, very good example. And I tell you where to get that. Stay to the end and we'll make sure that we have that information for you. All right, so let's dive into it. So here we have a framework. We call it the R.E.A.D.M framework or the R.E.A.D.D.M framework. And this framework is a line and talks about 7 words gentlemen use to frame the perfect relationship. Now, I know, just like you know, no relationship is perfect, but you can get very, very close. If you align yourself and the other person has buy-in also with these words, and again, these words are already in your vocabulary, it's how you utilize them and how you structure them and how you involve them into your conversation. These words, again, being 7 powerful words that will elevate your level of seriousness in the conversation. So let's go ahead and dive in and start communicating and talking about what we are going to be leveraging centered around this conversation. So here's the deal. Most men enter relationships hoping and praying that everything will work out fine. We have this notion that we grew up with is that find the right partner and everything will work out, right? Well, that's not the opportunity. It's never been like that. And this is one of the reasons why we have such a high divorce rate now. So one reason, not the only reason. Having these or not having these conversations will make a weak foundation. So it's all about, again, not hoping and praying, but making sure that we have the opportunity to facilitate with clarity, because as gentlemen, we have to lead with clarity. We have to lead with confidence. We have to lead with understanding, a strong understanding, so we can permeate that understanding into our relationship. So this relationship has a shift in your mindset. It will develop a shift. Once you grasp this, and again, this is a learned behavior. Relationships is a skill, or how to relationship is a skill. And this is something that most people don't talk about and they get it wrong. Relationships are a skill set that you develop. You understand how to, and you have to be taught, because we are not growing up, we do not come into the world understanding how to facilitate a relationship, especially with a relationship with someone who's completely opposite from us. Women are not like us. We are not the same. So when I hear people talking about men and women are the same and we're alike and equal, no, we are not the same. Our brains are wired different. Our bodies are different. We have different thinking patterns. So you have to be able to understand how to relationship. This will teach you how to relationship along with the relationship vetting system, or the 7 gates that I've spoken about in many of the other videos. We also have a book on that as well. That's going to be important. So we go from being an accidental man, what we see on the left side, to the intentional gentleman. And I utilize those words very, very purposefully. The accidental man, or the accidental male, coming up and growing up and evolving to the intentional, purposeful gentleman. And you can see the mind shift here. The accidental man leaves the relationship culture to chance. What is that? Chance. It might work out, it might not. Well, what if you can actually roll the dice and guarantee that your number hits? Well, this is just like doing that, because we're establishing a certain way on how to communicate. So what do? We set shared standards and vocabulary. This is what this means. Sometimes people try to take a word and make it mean something else. No, let's get back on track. But as far as our relationship, let's have an understanding of this word. When I say this word, this is what we mean. And we're going to stick to the original foundation of what the word is, and make sure it's structured also in our relationship. So we avoid conflict until it explodes, right? Avoid. We hush mouth, we pick our battles, kind of say in that instance. Well, it's not about that. It's about normalizing healthy disagreement early. If we do disagree, and we will, that's the culmination of every relationship. Is not a matter of if, it's going to be a matter of when, and then how do we facilitate the right conversation. Healthy, in a healthy way, not a chaotic, dysfunctional way. So we go from assuming roles without discussion to actually being established, clear, discussed ownership of the roles and responsibilities that we have. And then finally, we go from something that relies on chemistry to something that is built on a resilient framework that is positioned for growth and also long-term durability. Key words there, long-term durability. Now, here are the 7 words. The words are responsibility, expectations, address or addressing issues, a word or a phrase, decision-making, delegation. We have the measure and review. Those 2 words go together, but also the last one being follow-up. All of these, trust me, are already in your vocabulary, right? Most likely you're shaking your head yes, or you're thinking yes. Now, the facilitating the conversations is where the nuance comes. This is where the complexity and the issue comes into. I said complexity, not the issue, but complexity and the challenge. It's strategically taking these words from wherever they are in your head and executing them in the conversation in the right manner. That's what this is all about. And these aren't simply topics of understanding. They are words that must be spoken aloud. Again, spoken aloud to shape your relationship's culture. Every relationship will have a culture. I'll say that one more time. Every relationship will have a culture. How you deal with one person, one relationship may not be how you deal with another person, another relationship. Just making sure that we have the groundwork, but you can operate in certain principles, standards that can be the foundation and the guide for every single relationship to make it whole. And that's what this is all about. So we're going to take these 7 words, I'm going to utilize them in a certain way, and then I'm going to make sure that we give you an opportunity to find out where you can download the information so you can see a clear example on how that conversation is leveraged. This is the important stuff, because we all want relationships and we all want to have successful relationships. No one gets into a relationship and really wants to have some conflict and or divorce or anything else. So why not give it your all? Why not understand something to the mastery level and permeate that and communicate that to your significant other? If you do that, your chances go up significantly of having long-term success, future success. Yes, we have to deal with things in the now, but if we set this foundation, we can have a foundation that's very much so tailored towards success. And that's exactly what we want. So let's talk about these 7 words. Word number 1 is responsibility. Now, a gentleman isn't assigning duties. Not about that. We are making sure that we are establishing ownership. And ownership meaning that we are aligned, that we own certain pieces of this relationship and how we're doing certain things. So what does the conversation sound like? Sounds like this. Let's talk about our responsibilities. What responsibilities do you expect from me as a man? And that can be reciprocated even in as a statement, or if she's very smart, she'll ask that question. Well, what do you expect from me as a woman? Right? Having that conversation leverage and just to get a strong foundation, no understanding of how that will operate in the future. From that moment and everything moment that's in the future going forward. And then here's the last question, or a question. These are not the only question, but these are a guide so you can ask the right questions. Meaning, what responsibility do you believe belongs to both of us? There are some responsibilities in regards to both of us regarding finances, those 12 areas of life. And you can nuance this and permeate this over those 12 areas so you can have conversation guidance based on what we already know, those 12 areas of life. What is our responsibilities when we talked about finances? What about children? Our relationship? How do we handle things? What about how we communicate? All these are important questions. All those are 12 pillars of the success where you should have success as a gentleman. So when people consistently hear a word, what happens is their mindset gets wrapped around that word. They get used to that word and they begin to organize their thinking regarding that word or around that word. This is important as well because there's a psychological component to every single relationship. I don't care who you are, what you do, there's a psychological component that's very, very intrusive in your relationship. It's there. Play into it the right way and you can move forward and facilitate the right thought process and conversation in a very, very, very healthy manner. Word number 2, expectations. Spoke about this one in the video as well. The short form video. Expectations. This is extremely important. Set expectations. This graphic here depicts a picture in your frame or an objective that we can utilize to grow and mitigate some of the instances that may happen. So unspoken expectations become future disappointments. Unspoken expectations will become your future disappointment. So it behooves us to sit down and talk about them effectively. Expectations, again, it's not an easy conversation to have, but you as a gentleman, you're going to be the leader. You have to be the leader to drive this in the right way. The woman's going to be more on her feelings, trust me, about the relationship. You might be too, but you understand how to compartmentalize those feelings. At least you should be able to. I'm not going to automatically assume. A gentleman knows how. If you're an average guy, you watch this video, you got to learn this. You got to be able to compartmentalize those emotions and deal with the actual issue, the thing at hand. These are expectations. Separate emotions from expectations. Okay? So now going forward, gentlemen, remove assumptions also. Assumptions, presumptions, guesswork, take that out of the equation and make sure that we do that before things become arguments. So this is why we sit down, we talk about how we're going to communicate with one another. We decide on expectation. We define those expectations of how we're going to communicate. How we're going to communicate when things are good, how we're going to communicate when things are not so good, when things are going awry. When you get on my nerves, I'm getting on your nerves. It will happen. Point number 2, how are we going to handle disagreements? Again, this is all about communication. How are we going to handle finances? Determine how we're going to handle, what are our expectations regarding finances? Again, 12 areas like, what are our expectations about how we're going to handle children? How we're going to handle our spirituality and embed certain values and principles in the kids. Remember, those 12 areas are the same 12 areas that you will not get away from, and you can utilize this as a guide. And at the bottom here, this glacier, this is where the resentment settles in, and oftentimes they're hidden first. But I tell you, when they show up with ferocity, in a ferocious, vicious way. And you may separate the part and the other partner may know, and you don't want that. You do not want that. You want alignment. You want congruency. You want things to be on the same level. You do not want conflict in that manner. So understanding that those unspoken expectations will convert, elevate, turn into resentment, and that is not the driving force. The driving force is what we see here. We don't address the issues. Conflict isn't the problem. Not addressing them or avoidance is the problem. That's the problem, because then, guess what? We have conflict. As we see me and you, the two arrows conflicting there. and the issue's still over here, and we're still battling about our how we're handling things, and we're not dealing with the issue. But when we are aligned and we're addressing the issue, we should address the issue together. See, the bottom graphic talks about shows both of those arrows going toward the issue, the problem, the circumstance. They are going to happen in a relationship. No one is exempt from having a conflict in a relationship. Whenever you have two people, at least two people together, you have severely increased the chances of conflict happen. If you're by yourself, you may have some internal conflict that you have to deal with alone, and you can deal with that. But when you have someone else and their will is not your will, their decision may not be your decision, guess what? You can have conflict. Now you can fight until the cows come home, or you can fight together, but you attack the issue. That's the more savvy way, that's the more sagacious way in order to handle a relationship. So the word address immediately removes blame, and it shifts the conversation from attacking each other to solving the problem together. Let's address this together. Is this something that we can address early into the conversation? If something bothers us, let's address it early. Let us together, we can address this early. That's how you fight problems. Not about fighting one another, it's about fighting the issue. Fourth word, or the phrase, I should say the word, decision making, right? Decision making is something that we are going to be making thousands of decisions every single day. And it's up to us, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we make the right decision, especially when we have someone else's best interests at hand. So every relationship makes thousands of decisions. Will they happen intentionally or emotionally? From us as the gentleman aspect, you are supposed to be making these decisions intentionally without emotion. So you have to learn this behavior. You have to learn how to compartmentalize, as I mentioned earlier. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's necessary. It's something that you have to grow into learning how to do it. And here's the caveat about that. Most of the time, you won't be able to really understand how to practice that until that moment happens. Until the emotional opportunity comes up, you won't understand how to calm yourself down. Does that make sense? And so you have to work at it when it comes about. Don't leave your principles and standards behind. Attack the issue, separate the emotion. So we have decisions that are required, and those decisions are required can be managed in two different ways. There are joint decisions that my wife and I that we make, right? Understanding where we're going to go on vacation, understanding where we're going to invest, whatever the opportunity may be. Oftentimes it's guided by some joint decision making or conversation, all well and good. Okay, so which decisions require mutual agreement? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And then you have to ask, when should one of us take the lead? There are lead decisions. There are times when I take the lead and make sure that, and that's most of the time, but there are times when I look towards her because she's better than me in this one particular area, or sees several different areas. Not just one, maybe several different areas. She's a great organizer. She wants to organize stuff in the house. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever, right? I don't like doing that. I'm gonna put the cart before the horse, but that's what we're gonna get to later on. So decision-making conversations establish leadership without domination. It's not about domination, it's about alignment. We want alignment, not control. We want to be congruent with one another, not controlling one another. That's the opportunity. And you have to resist the temptation oftentimes in order to do that. And trust me, sometimes it's hard because you may have an escalated idea or a thought process and it might not match with the other person's thought process. And next thing you know, you're going down this slippery slope and you get into want to control the other person. It's not about that. Never, ever, ever. Gentlemen, we don't try to control women. It's not about that. We create alignment, we create standards, we set the standards, we have the conversation. If someone gets out of alignment, we address the issue. If they don't want to continue to move the way we discuss, all right, deuces, see you later, we're out, right? That kind of thing, or you're out, whatever that may look like. Number 5, delegation. Effective relationships function like an elite team, a high-functioning team. You have high-functioning teams in an organization. Those high-functioning teams are very much so centered and focused on accountability, how they can work together. They're very focused, but they're also very, very driven. And so delegation isn't about power, it's about stewardship. Who am I gonna delegate this to? And how are they going to own this or take ownership, stewardship over this particular thing? So here's a good way to do that. You want to divide by strengths. You have strengths. Trust me, hopefully she has strengths. If a gentleman aligns himself with the right person, I say when a gentleman aligns himself with the right person, because he's not going to just go after anyone just because of one aspect, say for instance, beauty, the aesthetics. No, that will fade and it will go away, and next thing you know, you're dealing with this person in a manner that you might not want to deal with. So we get somebody that we can align with, somebody that's smart, somebody that may be sweet, somebody that may be highly intelligent, or have a framework for this particular area, or have a natural inclination to do this well. That's what we want alignment. Look for some of the opportunities, yes, that we like. We want somebody that's pretty, we want somebody that can match us on a sexual level, but also at the same time, does this person complement me, and do I complement her? If there's a complementary opportunity there, great. Now we are leveraging the conversation that we're having right now. So who naturally enjoys handling finances? Determine that. Who's naturally good at finances or has a better financial management acumen. That may not be the person that actually writes a check or pays the bills, but that may be the person that sets the standard for where we're going to invest, right? Next one, who prefers planning? Who enjoys organizing? Those sorts of things. I like some planning things. I'm more strategic in the things I like to do. My wife, she's the planner. Sometimes I plan a vacation, sometimes she does. When it comes to organization, that's pretty much her. And I'm okay with that because I don't want to do that. I can spend my time elsewhere doing other things like making you this video, right? Here we go. Word number 6, measure and review. This is important. We want to measure and review. Healthy relationships don't just drift. They will have conversations, check-in points to make sure things are going in the right direction. If someone starts to veer off, then there's a checkpoint. Hey, let's come together. Let's chat about it here. Can we review our relationship every month? Let's set a standard there. I noticed that some things get off during this sometimes, and I want to find out what that's like or why that happens. So let's have a conversation just to make sure we're on track every month. Can we sit down and have these conversations? And that conversation can be over dinner, it can be on a date, it can be driving a car, it can be whatever that may be, but you're definitely going to allocate time in order to do that. So audit question, what's working well? Further audit question, what's not working well? What can we improve on? Where can we institute some sort of improvement for our relationships so that we continue down the right path? And we have these checkpoints and reviews throughout the year, or even the month, or even the weeks. Not necessarily the days. That would be too micromanaging, of course. And it shouldn't have to be micromanaged. That's the one thing about it. But having a schedule when you want to converse and chat, that's also something that you can facilitate. Nothing wrong with that as well. Last word, follow-up. Follow-up and review. One conversation changes very little. Consistent conversations will continue to change everything. And here's the thing about it, looking inside this gold circle. You should think about it like this. You matter enough to me so that I will continue to check in with you. And that should be reciprocated. You're thinking about that towards her, she's thinking about that towards you. If you're in alignment, trust me, that's going to be there. So the execution, the gentleman, doesn't assume problems remain solved forever. No, things change, people change, time gets the best of us sometimes. And so we have to have these check-in points and make sure that we are still aligned. Remember, we want alignment. So we have these conversations. How are you feeling about our agreement, with our relationship? How are you feeling about this? Are you still in alignment with this, or do we want to, is there something that we should alter and change? If there's something that needs to be continuously changed, then that's something you should continuously talk about until you get on the same level. Is there anything that we should revisit? Very good question there. Is there anything else that we should revisit, huh? Well, let's sit down and chat about it, and let's see how we can leverage a conversation in the right manner. And so the mechanics of it all, when you are having this conversation, gentlemen, pay attention to this emphatically. Ladies, if you're watching, that this is for you too. But you do want to have an opportunity to make sure that you're understanding that your nonverbal communication is involved in the conversation. I'll say that one more again. Your nonverbal communication is involved in the conversation. And in fact, research shows that up to 93% of your conversation is nonverbal. So we talk about 9 types of nonverbal communication here at LPG. We have what we call the modalities. These modalities have 9 different pillars. And one of these pillars, and I'm gonna talk about the last one because that's gonna be the most important one, especially gentlemen, for conversing with women. So let's talk about this right quick. The pacing. All right, the pacing and the voice. So the first one and the last one. Paralinguistics. These are focused into the non-lexical part of your words, your conversation, your verbal conversation. Let me say it again. The non-lexical part, the non-wordy part of your verbal communication has this on top of it, and that's where we talk about the paralinguistics. The pace, the pause, the inflection, the volume in which you speak, the tone in which you're talking. Women, especially guys, they're all about how you say something. So manage your tone. Make sure your tone's in the right way so that the guards don't go up and she gets defensive. Our job is to have the conversation leveraged and be perfect, or I should say agile in our communications so that the guards go down. That's a strategic move to you as a gentleman, understanding how to have someone converse with you, have their guards down so they can actually hear what you're talking about and internalize that and hopefully get buy-in for what you are talking about. So making sure to pause before responding, being emotionally disciplined when you're conversing. Don't let the emotions get high. Making sure, I'm going down to the last one here, measured tone. The tone should be even keel. You can utilize inflections, of course, and also making sure you have the right facial expressions. Go back up to the second one, the eyes. The eye contact, you want to make sure you maintain eye contact. This is a serious conversation, serious topic, so it deserves to have some serious thought process behind it in terms of looking around and conversing, or listening loud and being, having your imagination go wild, but let's stay focused. The imagination can come in later on. But the posture, you want to make sure your posture is right as well. Your body language can communicate a lot. They can tell without you saying it, and you can probably tell as well whether or not you want to have this conversation or she wants to have the conversation, and she can probably tell whether or not you want to have the conversation. She brings it up, right? But we want to make sure our posture is there. Communicate the confidence when we're delivering the communication, the conversation. And then the hands, making sure the hand gestures are appropriate. Light little touch here and there, that's all good. The smile, touch on the hand, whatever, touch on the leg, on the knee, whatever it may be, in order to have the right thought process. The hand gestures, the hands should complement what you are saying, so they can actually interpret or accurately interpret what you are saying, so that they can actually hear. Contextualization from hearing and seeing, or observation. Understanding how that is nuanced in your conversation. So the nonverbal communication is just as important as the verbal communication. Utilizing those 7 words are extremely important in your conversation, in your sentences somewhere when you're talking. Utilize these 7 words. At the same time, manage your verbal, I should say your nonverbal communication. Confidence is communicated well before you utter your very first words. And you have to walk into this particular conversation with confidence. Finally, here we go. Actually, a couple more slides here. The culture of the 7 words. The responsibility, what does that create? Ownership, not blame. Expectations, clarity, not assumptions. We want to make sure we're very, very clear. Address, or addressing issues, communication, not avoidance. We want to address it, not sweep it under the rug. Decision making, leadership, not chaos. We have organized communication, how we're going to talk. Delegation, efficiency, not duplication. Measure, growth, not stagnation. We want to grow, we want to escalate, we want to evolve in a positive way. No, not devolve, but evolve into the relationship that should be founded on certain aspects, and that's a strong foundation. And finally, follow up, accountability, not excuses. When you operate in this capacity, things will change, things will work out in your favor and her favor as well. And so remember this, relationships don't fail because couples stop loving each other. They fail because they never established a framework from the beginning. Never established a framework for leading the relationship together from the beginning. Again, key words there, from the beginning. You want to make sure that you have this opportunity to set apart your thought processes from the beginning. And so you can see, as I have this picture here, the woman, the man, they're talking. I want you to lead with clarity. Remember this also, words shape thinking, thinking shapes behavior, behavior shapes your relationships. There we have it, folks. Grandison Shines here signing out. Well, before we get into that, I want to make sure you have an opportunity to make sure that if you have any opportunity to go to our website, go to the website, legalproceduragentleman.com/The Forge. Look at the Forge program. That is a program. We have 3 levels of coaching and mentoring. 1, this is your self-paced, it's $30 a month. facilitate that if you want to. But before you do that, if you want to see what the other 2 levels are encompassed or what they involve, this is something that you want to make sure you leverage. Make sure you book a call. Go to legalproceduresgentleman.com/strategy session. Let's get on the phone call, have a gentleman-to-gentleman conversation. And finally, make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you follow us on our private Facebook group, Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. Yeah, we're not LinkedIn. That's for my personal one. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube and TikTok. Make sure you follow us there. All right, folks. Grandison Shines signing out. Until next time. Oh, by the way, in the description, you'll have the information, a link. I'm going to put a link there so that you can download the information on how the conversation sounds. Okay, it's a script that's written out, that wrote out, making sure that it addresses these 7 words that we spoke about. And it also addresses how to make sure you can get more information if you want to have construct the perfect relationship when we're talking about the 7 gates to relationship vetting process, because you as a gentleman have to learn how to vet so that you have the right person by your side. All right, folks, Grandison Shine signing out. Until next time, let's keep it LPG out there and facilitate proper relationship foundations. All right, folks, talk to you later. Bye.